In his 1961 pastel of a banana split, Wayne Thiebaud presents a vision of perfection not easily achieved in the world of ice cream desserts. The banana split is presented with enticing rivers of chocolate, strawberry, and pineapple sauces, buoyant clouds of whipped cream, and perky cherries with well-coiffed stems. In 1964, he emphasized the long dishes, affectionately named banana split boats, as if they were sailing to the edge of the table. In the 1980 painting, the banana split is served up in more of a dessert chalice than a boat, and it has a UFO-like shadow below it. These three versions of the banana split were composed over the course of 2 decades during the American post-war boom, a time when prosperity reached the largest number of people in the U.S. The banana split embodies that sense of the good life because an ingredient such as pineapple had a history of association with the very rich. The over-the-top extravagance of the banana split 3 flavors of ice cream, 3 toppings, and 3 fruits captured the aspirational nature of the American dream. In theory, everybody could eat like a king, even if it was just an eternal moment at the lunch counter of a pharmacy. The banana split is not just a pretty face. It was directly a product of the transformation of international agriculture to make exotic ingredients available to the masses. It was a symbol of American creativity in business and marketing. It was a centerpiece in the distinctive American philosophy of making your customers feel like royalty. The banana split embodied the childlike optimism of enjoying a sweet dessert served up by a friendly face.
A pineapple for me.
Let's start with the pineapple, maybe not the most noticeable ingredient, but certainly the most exotic. I'm always amazed at how much flavor the pineapple adds to the sundae because, honestly, in my head, pineapple and ice cream don't seem like a natural match. But there is magic chemistry of having this tropical fruit as a topping. The pineapple had traveled with Christopher Columbus back to Europe in 1493 and became a sensation that lasted for several centuries. During that time, the cost of a pineapple was prohibitively high. Why was it so expensive in past centuries? Well, for one, it takes 2 years to grow a pineapple, and it is basically impossible to grow in Europe. So it had to be imported from faraway tropical plantations in Central America, Africa, or even Hawaii, where the Spanish had started cultivating pineapples in the 1700s. At that time, pineapples cost the equivalent of $8,000 in today's money. Why? Pineapples were exotic, trendy, and very scarce. They were so appreciated for their beauty and prestige that people who couldn't afford to buy them rented them. You'll see the can of crushed pineapples I bought is Dole. It's all because of James Dole that the pineapple became available to the masses. Mr. Dole left Boston for Hawaii in 1899 to start a relatively small 60-acre pineapple plantation, which a year later became the Dole Food Company. He began the commercial processing of pineapple with peeling and coring machines. The result was that the exotic fruit became affordable and widely available.
How am I to thank you?
Then there's the banana. Split in 2, it girds the balls of ice cream and gives its name to the dessert. Today, bananas are one of the cheapest fruits you can buy. We owe that to Samuel Zemurray, who started a pushcart fruit business and ended up as the head of the largest fruit company in the U.S. Bananas didn't grow easily in the U.S., so he took his company to Honduras. He pioneered methods to bring the fruit to the U.S. before the fruit spoiled. As the fruit entered the market in the first decade of the 1900s, it started a banana craze. While he was able to make bananas affordable to just about anybody, he was also willing to destabilize Honduras to support regimes that favored his business. Thus came the term Banana Republic, meaning a country with an unstable government and an agricultural economy. The maraschino cherry's rise to stardom offers a more cheerful story, but one that tells you just as much about American history. The original maraschino cherries from Croatia were preserved in maraschino liqueur. In the 1800s, these cherries were extremely coveted, but because their quantities were limited, they were, like the pineapple, very expensive. When the cherries were imported to the U.S. in the late 1800s, American producers began to experiment with other processes for preserving cherries, substituting the maraschino cherries with Royal Anne cherries. During Prohibition, brining was used instead of alcoholic preservation, and thus was born the child-friendly cherry on top that finishes off the banana split. The cherry on the banana split is not just an optional topping. It completes the look and elevates the dessert from a delicious treat to a regal monument. Now let's look at how to make a banana split. Here is a list of the ingredients. 1 medium banana, peeled and split lengthwise. 1 scoop each of vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry ice creams. 2 tablespoons sliced fresh strawberries or 1 tablespoon strawberry topping. 2 tablespoons pineapple chunks or crushed pineapple or 1 tablespoon pineapple topping. 2 tablespoons whipped cream. 1 tablespoon chopped nuts, such as pecans or walnuts. 1 tablespoon chocolate syrup. 3 maraschino cherries. Start with the banana boat. I absolutely love the fact that creating a vessel for this concoction has inspired so many artists. Let's start with the most pedestrian of them, these colorful plastic banana split boats from Dairy Queen. Then, there's the ethereal blue dishes in scalloped glass, the fanciful ceramic banana, the smoked glass, green plantain banana boats, and the elegant cut crystal boats. I went with 2 cut crystal boats, one with a Greek key motif cut into it. It goes back to the early 1900s. From the 1930s, we have these Art Deco banana boats. Whichever style of boat you choose, make it one that inspires you, one that awakens your sense of beauty and magic. Now, let's get started on the banana splits. Slice the bananas lengthwise. The boat may be slightly smaller than your banana, in which case, cut the banana in half, so you have 4 quarters. You can arrange the scoops of ice cream in any order. Then, put pineapple chunks or crushed pineapple onto the vanilla ice cream. You can also use a pineapple sauce, like this one from Smucker's. Squeeze chocolate syrup over the chocolate ice cream and strawberry syrup over the strawberry ice cream. Next, squirt the whipped cream over each section of the sundae using a circular motion and tapering at the top. Add your cherries. I have 3 options: the non-alcoholic bright red maraschino cherries, or these exquisite cocktail cherries from Traverse City Whiskey Company, and sour cherries. Wow! Whether you opt for the garnet or deep ruby color, you are creating a piece of art atop your banana boat. Finally, sprinkle your favorite nuts on the banana split. I recommend pecans or walnuts rather than peanuts. History. For the banana split as you see it to come together, not just the agricultural industry, but the pharmacy business had to undergo a transformation. There are 3 different places where banana splits are supposed to have originated. To a contemporary audience, it may be surprising that only one of those is a restaurant. The others were pharmacies, or as they were variously known at the time, apothecaries or drugstores. So, before we find out where banana splits may have been first created, let's look at why it may very well have been in a pharmacy. American pharmacies embraced sparkling water as a base to infuse with medicinal herbs during the mid-1800s. They added flavors and cream to make these mixtures more palatable. In 1870s, pharmacies began to sell ice cream as well. The soda fountain was a draw for customers who might otherwise have gone to another apothecary. Charles Rudolph Walgreens, for example, built his Chicago business on the power of the soda fountain to attract business. Some of these soda fountains became spectacular social spaces. They featured marble bars with columns, painted tiles, and finely carved wood. People dressed up to sit down at the counter. The pharmacist who prepared the elixir sodas was called a soda jerk. Usually a young man, but not always, he mixed the syrups and botanicals with soda water. This same person assembled the ice cream desserts. The soda jerk put on a show and he was dressed for the part. Just as the soda fountain was taking off at the beginning of the 20th century, somewhere west of Philadelphia and east of Chicago, someone invented the banana split. We don't know for sure who that was. The first contender is David Evans Strickler, a 23-year-old apprentice pharmacist at Tassel Pharmacy in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. When not counting tablets or brewing bromides, he put his creative energy into building sundaes. In 1904, he was tempting college students to the pharmacy with news of his wonderful new creation, the banana split. He later purchased the pharmacy and named it after himself. Another possibility for the world's first banana split chef was Ms. Letty Lally, who worked at Fowler Drug in Columbus, Ohio. The date would also have been 1904. Finally, restaurant owner Ernest Hazard of Wilmington, Ohio, claims to have created the first banana split in 1907. Or maybe the dessert appeared in several places at the same time thanks to the fact that the key ingredients, bananas and pineapples, became widely available at just that moment, the first decade of the 20th century. Charles Walgreens, however, is credited with spreading the banana split. He made it a centerpiece on his menu as he grew his chain of pharmacies. They also began to create delicious and extensive menus in addition to soda and ice cream. The department store Woolworth also put the banana split on its menu, and other lunch counters across the country followed suit in subsequent decades. The banana split became ubiquitous, dreamed about and savored by children and adults all over America.
I can hear Hawaiian breezes blow.
Just as we get into the mid-century, the banana split becomes a bit actor in the larger theater of the civil rights movement. A number of sit-ins, as they were called, took place all over the South from the 1950s through the 1960s. The sit-ins involved black people and their fellow supporters sitting at segregated lunch counters until they were served. The soda fountain with its friendly soda jerk had been a place for levity and escape, for dressing up and having a nice meal that concluded with the banana split. Now, the drugstore lunch counter became one of the places where segregation laws were battled and defeated.
Be happy, why delay? Be happy.
The beautiful banana split is the culmination of modern commercial farm development and of pharmacies venturing into new territory to compete with each other and expand their businesses. In the 1960s, the idea of a split nation with segregated flavors of society was challenged at the very counters where banana splits had been served for over half a century. Today, it's rare to find soda fountains, lunch counters, or ice cream bars at pharmacies. Drugstore chains have closed thousands of stores across America since the pandemic. But one can still bring some of the soda jerk's sunny disposition and the elegance of the old soda fountains to your home. A banana split in a spectacular banana boat of your choice continues to be an extravagantly beautiful and truly unrivaled delicious dessert and a bite of history.
Why delay? Be happy, start today. Be happy, don't you try to alibi. Be happy.
I'm Dr. Jeffrey Neal, and in the past 2 years I coached 3 of the New York Times Summer Reading Contest winners out of 20,000 submissions. 21 of my workshop scholars were runners-up for first prize or were awarded honorable mentions. My seminars are fun and inspirational, and here you can get some of the strategies for free that my award-winning students use.